Good evening, all who are listening to this post today from the Blue Avian Collective. We are pleased to bring you a series right now on the sensations of awakening to your higher dimensions, to your fourth dimensional capacity, resonance, and vibrational awareness. Last time we spoke about the sensations of both heightening and deepening your meditation, your vibration, in order to reach fourth dimensional awareness and what that feels like physically. This time we would like to address a paradox. And this paradox is, how can I heighten and also deepen all at once? Picture the universe as a giant sphere. This is a very simplistic rendering of the universe, but it will do for now. Picture the universe as a giant apple. The apple has a core, it has a stem, it has florets at the bottom where the flower once bloomed, and it has meat that proceeds in a semicircle out from the core with a rind at the very edge. Picture the meat of an apple when you slice it in half. All the seeds are at the core, the stem comes out from the core, and so do the florets, and everything proceeds through in a torus fashion. The torus will become important momentarily. And so we picture the apple, and here we are at the center of our universe, each one of us at the center of our own universe, of our own awareness, of our own consciousness, of our own soul vibration, connected to universe and a part of it and all of it all at once. So we are the core of the apple. Each one of us individually is the seeds at the core. Imagine just a single seed at the core of the apple, and that is you, your consciousness, your soul, your greater awareness. From our greater awareness, up through the stem part of the apple and around out to the sides, proceeds our consciousness out into the world. And from the world, from the universe, proceeds our consciousness back into ourselves, up through the bottom of the apple. This is the great torus, proceeding back to the seed, which is us. Now imagine the seed is infinitely dense. It is infinitely dense and infinitely small, and so small that the seed of that apple takes up no space at all in the vast universe. That is us. That is our most condensed state within ourselves. Now imagine that seed existing somewhere in the very center of your body. If you could imagine the most primal center of your body, the most central center of yourself, where would that be inside your consciousness? Imagine that seed somewhere in the navel of the physical form, all the way in the center, deep to the belly button itself, very, very deep to the core of your universe is the center of yourself. We will call this the central resonating point. And from that central resonating point, which is infinitely small and infinitely dense and infinitely constricted, we experience a grand expansion. And the grand expansion is like a sound wave flowing out into the universe from this infinitely dense point that is so infinitesimally small as to not be seen by any naked eye. And flowing out, proceeding out from this infinitely dense space, we have our consciousness, which takes up an infinitely large amount of space. Imagine all of those sound waves, all those energy waves, particle waves, expanding out into infinite consciousness, infinite space. The meat of the apple, leading all the way out to the rind, is infinitely large and infinitely deplete. But we do not like the word deplete. We want to say spacious, infinitely spacious, the exact opposite of infinitely dense. If you could imagine all the molecules of the world flowing out and away from each other to an infinitely great distance, you would have infinite spaciousness, and that is what our consciousness does. It flows out to infinite space, out to infinite awareness, out to infinite thinness, so to speak, but it's not really thin at all. It's infinitely spacious. And so all at once we are both infinitely dense at the very core of ourselves, even in the very core of our physical bodies, the very central energy, the central resonance point. And we are also infinitely expanded, infinitely spacious, infinitely out there at the edges of that apple rind, at the edges of any known universe. We are also there. And so we are the paradox. We are both infinitely constricted, infinitely contracted, and infinitely spacious, infinitely expanded all at once. This is the paradox of the Torus. And that is why it is so beautiful, because even as we expand, we also contract. Even as we push out to the furthest edges of any known universe, we also constrict into the tiniest point that burrows through any known universe and out into all the others. It crosses all boundaries. It is infinitely dense and infinitely mutable, movable through all substances and into other worlds. And so we expand all the way through our world, and we also contract all the way into other worlds. And this is the beauty of the fiber of the universe, the stretch, the weft and weave, the push and pull, the way we go in and out, through and back again. This is connection of consciousness. And so we take our known universe, our own infinite expansion and infinite contraction, and we tunnel it through a membrane, a barrier, until we find another consciousness of similar resonance. And that is where we connect. That is where our universes begin to connect, like spider webs burrowing through membranes. We begin to connect with each other's infinite expansion and infinite contraction. And when we make these little tunnels, these burrows into each other, we also find expanded consciousness upon the other side. And when we begin to do that with each and every conscious thing, we establish the network of all known universes. Think about that for a little while. We will leave you now with this conundrum of the paradox and how it establishes and creates all known universes simultaneously, both with and without matter, both with and without time, both with and without spatial dimension at all. Blue Avian Collective, signing out. Thanks be to all universes in every dimension. We will speak to you again soon. Blue Avian Collective out.